Welcome back to another edition of VCTV. I'm Kyle Ellicott, your host, and we have yet again another double-packed episode of VCTV as we do every day this week and last week. Because why? Well, it's third quarter, quarter three, Q3. It is that sprint towards the end of the year. For investors, you know what this means. This is a great time to find some amazing founders and companies to start making investments in. It's also a time to be paying attention to all that's happening, whether that's around technology, whether that's around industry and regions around the world, because it's not just about right now. It's also, this is the time when we're looking towards the trends that will be setting forth for the next year. So this is the time to pay attention and get up to speed, ready to make those investments for the coming year. Entrepreneurs, you know this just as much as we all do here. This is your moment. This is the time when you're going out to get those last minute dollars in before the end of the year to prepare for the next year or two and beyond. It's also when you're getting product out. There's a ton happening during this time. And we're here on VCTV bringing the best and the brightest from around the world to you to share everything that's happening so you're up to date and you've got the best people to work with in the space. And today we've got a great show. We're going to be talking about two of my favorite subjects, fintech and blockchain. And we've, again, brought some of the best and brightest from around some of our previous guests and also some new guests to join us to talk about what's happening in these industries. We talked a little bit on yesterday's show around fintech and banking and just greater finance in general and what's happening in those spaces. But we also are going to start shifting that into the bigger picture of finance technology. What is happening at all levels in all regions around the world? When looking at something like Latin America and the rising middle class and the huge opportunities around financial inclusion. We talked earlier in the week about what's happening in Africa and the financial technology integrations and also investments happening in that space as well. When we shift to blockchain, we know that this industry changes every 2.5 seconds, if not milliseconds or faster. There's tons happening, whether it's from the DeFi, the decentralized finance space, all the way through to enterprise, where we're starting to see more enterprise adoption. And what does that mean? We're actually seeing blockchain and surrounding technologies integrated at the technical infrastructure level. So the applications that we use as consumers are powered by this, are secured by this technology. And we don't know about it, which is okay, because it just works. So with that, we've got a ton to talk about in acquisitions, talk about in investments, talk about movements, pivots, you name it. We're going to be talking about it when it comes to fintech and blockchain today. And before we get started, a big thank you to you, our audience. If you like what you're hearing today, do click subscribe, give us a thumbs up, but also investors, reach out. If you'd like to be on a show like today and share your thoughts and insights, we'd love to have you. Entrepreneurs, this is not just a place for investors. This is also a place for you. If you'd like the chance to get up here on our virtual stage and pitch us as investors, your company, along with our live audience, we'd love to have you. We'd love to find the right show and the right opportunity for you. So do reach out to the LATOKEN team, Elena and or myself. We'll see what we can do for you. And also a big thank you to Elena and to the entire LATOKEN team for making VCTV possible every single day on your screen, your device, anywhere in the world. With that, I'm Kyle Ellicott, your host. Let's get started. Let's talk about some blockchain. Thank you, Irina. Let's talk about some blockchain. Let's talk about some fintech. It is going to be fun. Irina, I'm going to have you kick it off. You were here with us yesterday for a few minutes before you went off to the stars, and we'll hear a little bit more about that, but just a quick introduction and background on yourself for the audience.
Thank you so much. I heard that you were talking about banking yesterday, and I'm like, how was I not on that? Unacceptable. But I was traveling, so, you know.
We'll continue the conversation. Don't you worry.
Right. Well, it's a pleasure to be back here again. I'm finally back home. It feels also great. The comfort of reliable Wi-Fi or more reliable Wi-Fi. That's awesome. My name is Irina Litchfield. I am founder of Lumeria, where we connect capital to innovation. I'm founder of Blockchain Cubed Consulting, a company that specializes in financial technology integration and blockchain. And I advise to a number of companies, which include a global securities exchange, Space Fund, and a couple others as well. You can find a lot of information on LinkedIn.
Absolutely. And Crypto Superwoman. Just check her out on all social media. Easy peasy. She's all over the interwebs. You can find the best and the brightest of what she puts out there.
At the space, they call me Super Irina. Okay, super is just the thing.
We got a new nickname. Here we go. All right. Well, with that, Mark, long time no see. Here we go. Mark, ladies and gentlemen, doing the early social drop. Put it back up. You got your intro. You might as well hold it the whole time.
No, I just have to make sure I got the unmute button first. Remember, I mean, I'm getting used to this, right? So here we go.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Mark, please, little intro, a little background. That's where you can find him on social, by the way.
Exactly. So that's why I'm on Twitter, Mark Müller-Eberstein. Born in Germany, living next to Seattle in the tech industry for 30 years, yes. And active angel investor for the last, 8-9 years now here in the Seattle area. So I'm a member of the Alliance of Angels, which is the US, probably the oldest angel organization founded by Bill Gates' father. I'm a member of the Swan Fund that's investing US and Canada-wide in all kinds of early startups. I'm a member of the Angel Capital Association of America as well. I'm also managing member of a blockchain-focused organization called Codex 3, and I've invested in a blockchain fund in the LP there in Blockcelerate. So we are very, very interested in young, early companies on a global level, of course, with a focus here on the Pacific Northwest, but we're looking at entrepreneurs globally that are going to change the world. So we're happy to help them with advice. There's a lot of information out there by AOA and ACA available free for everybody. So there's no reason to have a bad pitch deck at this point. We have it all there for you. Yes, we are very interested in helping organizations with capital, connections, introductions. I've been in Davos for the last, 3 years, just before the pandemic hit, I think was my last big trip. And we are usually taking founders of organizations with us. So for example, we're talking about DeFi. Last year, we had Rune Christensen, the founder of MakerDAO, with us in Davos, and it's always interesting to get to know people in different environments and see how we can help them.
Absolutely, and that's what VCTV is all about. We've had you on here before, building connections and also sharing your insights. And we've got some new guests with us as well. G, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure. A little intro, a little background on yourself as well.
Guys, I'm Gaurav. I know the name might be tough for the Western audience. We generally, my friends use G, Irina, and others who have been old enough have sort of built the taste, the flavor of the name and the language as well. She's visited India, so we've spent some time here and there. I have been a technologist for not more than a decade, I guess, 10, 12 years. I've been operating a company that invests into startups and enterprise, not for an upfront price, but basically for equity. So that has been the bread and butter for more than a decade. Eventually, with a few exits, we started investing money. Now I hold a family office and holding company in Dubai called O1X that has a token-only mandate. We have been investing for the last 4.5 years in all stages. So we are not bounded by seed, private, or secondary, or even public sales. We do everything. Having a trade bench, a fully featured trade bench, and some quant strengths. We have market making for our portfolio companies. O1X, if you search right now on Google, you'll find at least 50 odd articles everywhere. Because just yesterday we made an investment in a UK crypto bank, and Kasha is the name, CASHAA. And that brings me to the topic where Irina started off with fintech, blockchain, and crypto banking to add on to it. And I think that's a huge space for around the world. Since 2017, there have been so many startups that were trying to cater to crypto businesses. Banks, neobanks, challenger banks. And today we stand with almost 97% of them having failed. The number is precise because I was just looking at the data during the evaluation of this investment for the last whole month. And there are just a few. So that's there lies my passion, basically, fintech and technology. Everything finance about me has come from crypto. I'll be very honest. Before that, I never knew what finance is. Like, I was just a technologist. But crypto has changed me in ways more than just money, better investments, and so on. To conclude the introduction, we've been investing in a portfolio of in a wide portfolio of variety of companies. The recent one being Trade Dog, which is an investment advisory company, and we have started up a DeFi accelerator just 2 months ago. And there's a good portfolio that we have already built in there. So based on the introduction that I've got from you, Carl, I would invite all the early stage companies that are planning to do anything in DeFi or fintech or crypto to approach Trade Dog for all the support.
Love it. Well, and we're going to dive into a lot of that, and I think you're calling it right. I mean, the digital currency or cryptocurrency space has changed a lot of lives in many different ways, and it's what brought us all here in some respects, right? The excitement and the underlying infrastructure that empowers it. So we'll come back to that. And last but not least, Usman, welcome to the show as well with Elena and I. It's a pleasure. A little intro, a little background.
Hey, thank you so much. A little background. I started in crypto kind of early. Went down the rabbit hole of around 2011. Basically when Slushpool first came out, when you could mine Bitcoin back on Intel i3, a little laptop CPU. And that kind of got me interested in it. Didn't do much with it after that. It was more of a novelty. Then the 2013-14 boom kind of happened. Bitcoin hit 1,200. Then people started seeing, this is something you can look into. Early investor in Ethereum, around 10, 12 bucks. And then once I saw Ethereum, smart contract technology, that's kind of when I went full into crypto. So what I do is run an algorithmic trading desk called Quantum Labs. We've been in stealth for the last 1.5 years, but we launched live the beginning of 2020. And so far, year to date, we've done around 40 million in notional volume. And we do quant algos, arbitrage, and market making. We also advise some public companies on their token projects as well.
Very cool. Well, let's dive into all this. This is exciting. We've got a vast, wide range of experience here. Let's figure out what's going on in this industry. So to kick things off, I want to come to each of you on your current view of what's happening in these industries. So for fintech, so the greater picture of finance technology, and blockchain as well. I mean, these are two kind of independent but collaborative areas. But I would love to hear your view of the current state of these as well. And Irina, we'll kick it off with you up in the corner of the Ed TV view here. So you get to go first.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. Like you said, when we think about crypto, there's the fintech, financial technology, integration and innovation, and that's where blockchain plays. And then we have crypto industry, right? And I'll start with first one. I think that we are seeing huge shift in the way we're experiencing finance. We are seeing a huge reorganization of, let's say, how capital markets are going to work and what you can actually do. And most importantly, what blockchain allows us to do when we implement it is unlock, it is speed things up, right? And lighten up intermediaries, which moves money faster. It eliminates a lot of restrictions that we have to deal with in capital markets, only because we're missing code, right? So in code we trust, the single truth or the single source of truth and permanent records together creates an ideal situation for regulators and eliminates a lot of very heavy intermediaries, right, that are very expensive. So I believe that for financial technology, that's the biggest difference that we're going to see. And for investors who have opportunity to participate in infrastructure integration, I think those are kind of a very big benefits. Now, when it comes to crypto, and while I'm extremely excited about what DeFi is doing, the growth is undeniable. But let's remember, we are post-halving, okay? And that means that growth is undeniable. It just is, okay? And it is in alts, and it is in Bitcoin, and thus it will be in DeFi. One of the things that I'm seeing that's amazing is that we're experiencing this new way of doing finance, but without traditional financial infrastructure. Now, there are benefits from it, because traditional financial infrastructure has been watching what happens in the crypto space, okay? And then they see what works and what doesn't, and then they implement it, right? So it's a great playground and a lot of opportunities and a lot of financial opportunities available with that. However, remember that every single time we have a growth cycle, we do have Ponzi schemes. And the problem with Ponzi schemes is they can be flippy. If you do it just right, you can be in and out. And I would like to make sure that the industry and people that are in the crypto space and people that are outside of a crypto space be cautious of that and stay away from them. Support projects that are valid, projects that will improve lives for people that actually, that are not obviously are. And again, I warn you that a lot of Ponzi schemes are already out there, and it begins. And the thing about it is that people get caught up in it because they think that they can participate in it, and it just ends up being a bad thing. So if you get involved in a solid projects, make sure that a project that you're getting involved with has somebody who has a reputation in the industry. Okay, look at the founders. Do they have experience? At least one founder. Do they have a solid experience being in the industry? Make sure you check their reputation. It's all available. Reach out to those that are experts, and make sure you verify that these people know what they're doing. Or of course, because we cannot only allow innovation by experts, if founders do not have it, because we want bright minds coming in, make sure that there are advisors and investors, important investors as well, that understand the industry, that want to support that infrastructure, and then verify that they actually are there. Because remember, one of the things that happens is that everything goes kind of virtual. A lot of fundraising happens online. And so Ponzi schemes will just take somebody's biography and picture, because it's all available, and put it on their website and go and start raising a lot of money on that. So verify, re-verify, and verify.
I see everyone shaking their heads. I think we all agree. It is all about doing your homework, as we've talked about here on VCTV. It doesn't matter the topic, the industry, or the technology, or an investment, or an entrepreneur. Do your homework. So good point, Irina. Mark, to you. Current state, what are you seeing as things start to shift and shape a little bit more in these industries as we round out the second half, or round into the second half of the year, I should say?
I think when we started this conversation, is that a lot of the money, people were afraid there was a lot of money held back. I think, as you said earlier, there's a lot of money on the sidelines, or was on the sidelines, and we're definitely seeing an uptick in the investment space right now. I think we're talking, I think, in March about what kind of recovery getting. Are we getting a V-shaped recovery, a W, or a check mark, or whatever? One of the things I've learned over the last weeks, it's called a K-shaped recovery, which I think makes actually quite a bit of sense. So we basically we went down a lot. What's happening right now, it seems that even if you look at incomes, for example, in the US, incomes of over $60,000, they haven't really been much impacted. But so there's a relatively solid recovery for upper income percentiles. But what's happening is the folks that were living day to day did not have savings, are not having solid investments. They are actually doing much, much worse. So we're going to see the economy even further going into different directions for different people in different demographies. I want to get quickly back to what Irina just said earlier. I think it really we have to be clear if you're investing or gambling. I think investment is figuring out how to help entrepreneurs or companies with your capital to grow faster, stronger, be more successful, and then be part of their journey. A lot of it, what people do, think about it, is like go to the, especially in the token space, is basically gambling, right? I mean, there are definitely very solid projects. And I think I mentioned earlier, MakerDAO. We are working with the people from PundiX who are bringing finance to underbanked and access to financial instruments since, I don't know, 2017, I think, with Ethereum since 2015, I think. So yeah, so there's definitely projects and innovators that are really going to change the world. Having said that, in the DeFi space, it's interesting. We talked there was an Ethereal Summit in Tel Aviv in 2019, the Singapore Fintech Festival in 2019. DeFi was starting to be really accepted as a concept, a lot of interesting projects, the change potential was there. So we're in that space for about a year at least, relatively, with Maker even longer than that, before it was called DeFi. But what's happening in the last 2 months is insane. There are some really interesting projects coming out there, but when you have a fork of sushi with kimchi and it goes up and down, I think hot dog and pizza, I mean, those are either, those kind of projects are pump and dumps or scams, outright scams. I mean, as somebody, Wall Street data 10 years ago said that at Wall Street, money is never lost, it's just in somebody else's pocket. So if you're going out there and throwing your money in that space, the chances are you are probably giving your money to somebody else. So as Irina said, investment, do your homework, making sure you're really clear of what you're doing, and doing it as well as possible. I think we all work hard for our money, we want to protect it, but the chances are there. We have invested a lot over the last 3 months in our communities because we see great opportunities. I think as a society, we go to fundamental changes as we did 10 years ago, and those opportunities are there. But it's clearly important, and we learned this in the ICO craze as well. There are capable entrepreneurs, there are very few. Then there are people that are really well-meaning and want to build something, but are unlikely to succeed. And then outside of the traditional investor world now, in the crypto world, we find this huge amount of people that want to make quick money, and they're scammers, and just avoid them and run away from them.
Just run away, run away. But all jokes aside, I will say, you know, to your point around DeFi, I mean, I began tracking, I think DeFi is a big term in the taxonomy I was looking at around the blockchain landscape. Around that second half of 2019 is when it really started to come on scene, as did dApps, so decentralized applications. Those are when those keywords really started to come out into the industry in a much bigger way than just a few conversations. And you know, you mentioned sushi, and you mentioned kimchi, and you mentioned hot dog, and all these fun tasty treats. But to those who may be tuning in for the first time, you know, what we've seen. Usman, you're laughing, so I'm coming to you next on this. What we've seen is a number of projects and companies, we'll give credit to both sides, that have really started to come on the scene very quickly. Development happened in a very short amount of time, launched very quickly, and then because of that and the excitement that Irina was mentioning in the industry, we saw a very big rise. I think as of today, we're probably still over about $9 billion in DeFi total locked value. For reference, go back to May. I think it was May. We were at about we were just over $1 billion still. And now here we are in September, and we're over $9 billion. And so these projects continue to launch, and we continue to see where they go. But to everyone's point so far, do your research. And there's some amazing branding, marketing specialists out there in the industry. And that's all I got to say. Sushi, kimchi, good job. All right, Usman, I tease a little bit, but let's come to the reality. Where are you seeing things as the current state? And feel free to dive a little bit into this DeFi world, as you are in this space pretty aggressively right now. And I think people would love to understand a little bit more about it.
DeFi is very interesting. I think the macro perspective of DeFi brings a lot of players to the market, but I agree with what Mark and Irina say. Kimchi, sushi, hot dog, that's just ridiculous. And the things that are going on right now, very big pump and dumps. If you just follow Arthur Hayes on Twitter, the founder of BitMEX, you can see him tweeting about kimchi and all that stuff. And, he's just having the time of his life because he's riding that wave, and he's enjoying all these people that are newcomers coming into the space, and they don't know what DeFi is. They don't understand how to
great
use
parties, Usman. He throws really good parties.
I bet he does. Yeah. But yeah, people that come into the DeFi space, they might not understand it fully. There's a lot of intricacies to it. It's still relatively early. I think the biggest benefit to the DeFi space itself is it's opening up a new market where this previous bear market, we saw a lot of altcoins lose their value, go down 80, 90%. But now DeFi has kind of opened up a little bit of a bubble and brought more exposure to the people in the bear market that completely switched off altcoins and became Bitcoin maximalists. Now they've become more aware of the potential of more Ethereum or other decentralized finance applications. So that brings more awareness there. It's kind of like the ICO boom, there was a lot of pump and dumps and then it sucked. And you had IEOs. Over time, everything iterates. And I think DeFi, the Uniswap stuff, this kimchi hot dog, it's really funny. It brings people to the space, but over time it'll iterate and become more of a better product. And I do see a lot of, from the investment side, exchanges investing in the decentralized exchange platforms from Binance, FTX, and BitMEX itself. They ran into the 100X group, and they've been making a lot of active investments in that space.
Yeah, and to that point, just I want to correct myself. I did a fact check real quick. So at the end of May, we were at 1 billion. For most of May, we were actually under $1 billion in total locked value around DeFi. And now we're just over 9 billion. So in just a matter of a few months, we 9x'd the number. And what does that mean to both Usman and Mark and Irina's point so far is the amount of activity, the amount of opportunity, the amount of applications that have been created in this space in general has been incredibly huge. Now, mass adoption, maybe, maybe not. We've talked about that on previous episodes around this topic, and we're going to come back to that here in just a moment. So, G, I want to come to you. What are you seeing as the current state of fintech and blockchain from your standpoint as well? I know there's a lot of activity in India around both of these, in Southeast Asia greater, and then also in some of your background, you've been playing in the fintech space as well. So, would love to hear more.
Yeah, I would want to add two aspects to both Mark and Irina's mentions. So one, although I've sort of missed the exact point, but I'll come to, I'll begin from Irina. So apart from the three kind of entrepreneurs that we've just discussed, one, those who want to build fabulous products, others who are trying to, who are there only to run away with the money, and then there are some in the middle ground. They're just testing their faith. They want to still cash out on wave, still don't have the right skill. Again, adding up Irina's point that they don't have experts, subject matter specialists with them, but they think they know the space well. Now this creates the space for the fourth startup, the fourth kind of startups. And I think there are majority, I'm an optimist when it comes to entrepreneurs and people. So I might probably be a little tilted towards, let's say, away from practicality. But I think there's a majority of entrepreneurs, engineers especially, because this space primarily is engineers. They start up with a clean brain, clear mind. They don't have an intention to scam people. It's just that they probably entered into the right time of the wave, let's say 2016, 17 of ICO phase. They were doing good for themselves. And I mean, when they were investing, and with the limited perspective that they had towards analysis, right? Analysis is a perspective, right? So big or small, they still have one, and they think that, well, yeah, it's just creating a white paper with that is solving an issue, and well, you know what? 20 of them are solving the same issue. Why not 21st? Right? So they jump in with a clear mindset that, well, I'll still be in the race. I'll still build the product. I probably have a chance, if not the top 20, then at least, I mean, if not the top 2, then at least the top 20. So, and these are the people that often crash in this space, because they might be, I mean, their perspective kills them. So I wouldn't call them scammers by heart. I wouldn't call them runaways, not at all. But I wouldn't call them failures in their own perspective. So we are today in let's say, I'll give you a funny incident, and that will actually probably change your perspective towards scammers. So we're getting like tons of applications in this DeFi accelerator in the portfolio company that I just mentioned, TradeDog, and you'll be surprised, you know, a team of 6 engineers who have spent their life in an oil field in Egypt. People from all around the world, they've been investing in crypto for 5 years, and they think they can do something wonderful in AMM, automated market making, and cross pool liquidity. So now these guys have created a product, and they came to us, well, you know, we want to be accelerated. We want this, and this services. I said, okay, which company should we send the term sheet to? And they said, do we need a company? I thought we just need a smart contract and Uniswap. So it's the, you know, I mean, look at the perspective. These are chaps, you know, in a good way. These are chaps. They don't understand the intricacies of business, of a business. They're engineers trying to create a business. And most of the times, we all know that the best of inventions in the world have failed without the right sales skills, without the right business skills. And for a lot of reasons that these ICOs failed, at least the ones I know, a majority of them failed. The good ones, like to name one, Shopin, a New York venture. I'm more exposed to the US ecosystem than India. Elliot, sorry, Kyle, I've just stayed at home straight for 6 months for the first time during the pandemic. So now is when I get to know Indian ecosystem better. But yeah, so Shopin created a fantastic product, good team, real good intentions. What went wrong? They didn't know how to handle fund. They forgot the fact, I mean, they never knew the fact that they are not a trading company. They raised ethers at the price of $900 and they held on to it. They thought that they'll sell it. While I'm very proud to mention this company more often than not in my portfolio called Coty. It has the most beautiful chart today on Binance. We made a large ticket investment. And one of the early conversations that I used to have during advisory with the company, I mean, we are investors and advisor. So Coty right now is one of the most successful assets on Binance, right? And Matic, Coty are like highest gainers of the month and so on. So I used to ask Shahaf, the CEO, that, well, you're giving me a discount on BTC, like a tip price on BTC just to suit my temperament. Like BTC was going down, he was accepting BTC at the price of 9,000 or something when it was actually at 8,400. And he said, well, if you're waiting to transfer your Bitcoins at that price, well, let me accept that at the same price point. And I always wondered, I said, how would you use that? I mean, how does that help you? He said, well, I need the funds today, right? I'm not here to trade with your funds. I'm here to build a company with those funds. And for that, I need now. And that small decision of a business person, of course, a serial entrepreneur, made all the difference from people who raised 5 times the money than Coty, because they had the fund in hand when they had to build a company. During bear or bull, doesn't really matters to a company that is busy building inside an office, you know, a team of 60 just putting their heads on the table and building. So I am a big advocate of startups that ways. Research might not be enough, because somebody who's getting into investing today, crypto is full of those people. I guess a good 75% are first timers, like myself, by the way. I was the first timer in Ethereum 4 or 5 years ago. So I think we have to bend towards a well-established solution from the institutional markets, and that is consulting. You should the early entrants should actually hire, if not follow good consulting services, good consultants, established players, influencers that have a good reputation online, and at least 3 years in this case, because in crypto the cycle is slightly smaller. So that's
3 years,
my perspective.
Yeah, 3 years in
At
this
least.
space seems like 20
Actually.
decades. It feels so quick, so long. But I think to everyone's point here, again, what we're seeing is a great opportunity, a lot of great projects, and I'll just give everyone the credit for now. A lot of projects that are being created, and the difference here is that traditionally applications, it was all about users and general interaction. This time we have new applications and products that deal with finance. So there's a huge financial inclusion portion here. That's why we're talking so much around digital currency and DeFi today, because they're very different, right? So this is why we're talking about this. But let's separate that now. Let's go a little bit further into where the opportunities are in this area. We've got more and more companies that are fundraising in both blockchain and fintech. We just got news of a couple companies that have raised well over $100 million, including those for digital banks right now, focusing on very specific regions around the world. And so I want to talk about where are the areas of opportunity. So though there are people out there listening, where should they be paying attention to when it comes to fintech and blockchain? Let's try to separate the digital currency aspect for just a few moments, but where should people be paying attention to around these two industries if they're looking to build or they're looking to invest? And Arina, we'll start with you.
Well, I think the most decision you need to think about is it or decentralized, right? So yes, can you hear me? Oh yeah, okay. So right now the opportunity, I would say, in 2.0 technology, so blockchains that have been in business for a while and were speculated on as a currency. Now they're starting to say, okay, how can we actually benefit, innovations, and how can we implement our technology, because they need scalability. And so a lot of them have been working on that. And I think that's, as a technology valuation, I think that's something worth looking forward to, right? Because it's much more understood. And I think for the enterprise, I really like private blockchains, because look at those. Is it permissioned or is it permissionless? And permissioned blockchains are really great for enterprises. They really enjoy them. Big industrial companies looking at them. It really is taking a lot of skill. It's just private companies do not talk about what they do, okay? And so it is not something that you see on the news, because it's a private thing, right? So I think that kind of diversifying your portfolio with those two gives you a great outside into the future, to where you're covering your enterprise and decentralized application. And remember too, I think eventually we just kind of merge them to share the benefits.
Absolutely. And I mean, when you start to get into decentralized applications in general, right? So should it be decentralized? Should it not, right? Should you be implementing the technology? Should you not, right? Be careful of those. We are everything for everyone. In some cases, the technology may not be fully applicable to what you're building. That's one thing that I think people tend to forget around the technology is, when it comes to blockchain and just decentralized technologies or distributed technologies as a bigger picture, you might not need it all, right? There's pieces, there's not to use just a common industry term, but building blocks. There are pieces within that stack that you can use, right? Storage to compute to pieces of smart contracts to all identity to all these different areas versus the whole thing. But with that being said, Mark, to you, where do you see the areas of opportunity around blockchain and fintech right now that people should be paying attention to?
It hasn't really changed much. So I think blockchain has huge opportunities, transformational potential. I actually even wrote a book for my fellow investors in 2018 about it. It was CES. Dan Shapiro highlighted it as the must-read book for normal people that are spending money in blockchain, called The Trust Technology. You can get it on Amazon. Having said that, so where are those areas? Well, there's a couple of big segments that are absolutely ripe for the transformation. So let's start with the unbanked people that do not have access to a financial system just because of the cost of the established system. The established system works great for the last 500 years for about 10%, maybe 20% of the global population. 80% don't have access to it. Blockchain technology, decentralized finance, huge opportunities for getting access to financial tools. And financial tools, don't forget, those are there to unlock entrepreneurial potential for people, like to build regular businesses, to finance businesses, to insure businesses. Huge opportunities in that space. So we are very, very passionate about what's happening there. COVID, I think, changed, or in some areas really accelerated the need for digital finance. I think finance on the internet, of course, payments on the internet, but also contactless payment systems. There's all kinds of things that are coming together. And I think I mentioned Punix before. We're still super bullish on what they are building in that space, really bringing hardware, software, infrastructure, blockchain together. Having said that, where is the money in the IT space? It's usually in the enterprise space. That's where software can unlock economic value very, very quickly. So if you start to get traditional enterprises, financial enterprises to adopt the technology and technology tools, I think that's where we are looking in very, very closely to really help those companies. And that's where, again, that's where the money is. I think that's where real revenue comes from, licensing, even consulting revenue. Is in those spaces. So I think those are the key. Yeah, those are the key areas. DeFi has a very interesting twist because it creates, in some aspects, or recreates existing financial instruments, but also creates some new ones. I think I'm not endorsing Yearn at this point, but I think anything that has a Y in it really took off over the last few months. It's a very interesting concept. You have algorithmic investment advisors, you have pooling opportunities. There are definitely some really interesting concepts in there. If they're good investment opportunities, we'll have to see in the midterm at least.
But you're bringing up a great point, enterprise, right? Enterprise is a place that people, for most don't want to pay attention to. It's not the sexy, industry to look at. Instead, it's the boring, the traditional, the slow moving. And really there's a lot of activity and opportunity when it comes to implementing either blockchain or the bigger picture of distributed technologies in
maybe
that.
I have to say, I mean, yes, are they going to move in 24-hour rhythms? Absolutely not. But I got to speak at the last 2 FinTech Ideas Festivals. Like every 2 years, the CEOs of the largest financial institutions in the US get together and discuss what's the future look like. In 2017, they barely could spell blockchain. So Ginny, the CEO of IBM, was on stage and saying blockchain, 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 which basically meant hyperledger, hyperledger, hyperledger for your private invitation. And I'm like, don't really know. Isn't it this Bitcoin criminal, whatever thingy? 2 years forward, 2019, the head of innovation of Wells Fargo said they had 800 active blockchain projects within their company already, right? I mean, Microsoft and EY are going out there. They have hundreds of thousands of their customers' projects right now. They are referencing all the time. And this has happened within 2 years. I mean, I'm in the IT industry for decades, and I've never seen industry adoption that fast. I mean, okay, maybe the last 6 months, Teams and Zoom, okay, fine. But anything else has never moved as quickly as blockchain adoption for enterprise structures.
You're right. I mean, there's data to back it up. There's conversations. You are spot on. That's why I'm calling it out with you as well. So with that being said, G, I want to come to you. Where are you seeing the areas of opportunity? I mean, you focus a little bit on the banking side of things, but where are you seeing the areas of opportunity people should be paying attention to right now? You're on mute.
Sorry about that.
There you go.
Yeah.
No worries.
I would want to wrap up enterprise before we shift on to fintech and retail. So last 2 years, we invested in enterprise blockchain as service and blockchain supply chain, blockchain-based supply chains, IoT, similar projects, and ended up acquiring 2 of them that were serving more than 90 POCs with the Fortune 500 companies through Deloitte and Tech Mahindra, which is a tech giant, tech service giant of India, serving a lot of, I mean, amongst the top, I guess, 10% of the top Fortune 500 companies, something like that. So enterprise definitely is a good investment space, but I think it's pretty eaten up by the VC world, and VC world is all full. They have, deep pockets. There's an existing race. I want to take a minute, 30 seconds to quote a close friend of mine who lives just 2 floors down my house. He's a GP at SoftBank right now in India with his family, and he handles tech investments and the upcoming blockchain ideation. Uber Autonomous are all his accounts. And we were discussing that it's, for the last 3 years, it has been a pain to decide the entry price point, because as an orthodox old investing company, SoftBank always has a price point which is more closer towards the practical price point. But then there are so many more investors who are willing to buy it for like 30% of the top. And it's been a hard time for them to be able to compete with them and get their share and get their bite in order to, end of the day, make the right investments, because that's the business, right? They got to make investments. So with that, I conclude my opinion about enterprise investments, investments in enterprise focused startups, B2B startups. Coming to retail, I think for me, it is fintech, and especially neobanking, challenger banking has been a wonderful space for the last 2 years. A funny thing that one of the, I guess, CoinDesk or somebody quoted in the yesterday's investment, and they said that, well, Gaurav, your investment in Kasha is like Excel Partner and Slack. You have been investing in all the rounds, buying up again and again in the same company, right? And I said that, well, I expect an exit like that as well. But the point is, fintech, and I'm not even talking about crypto. If neobanking is just exploding, we all know Revolut, we all know Monzo, and then the recent one when Revolut and Monzo employees have just started up another challenger bank, and it has raised, I don't know how much, close to 100 million or something, for nothing. The project is still not live. And similarly, in India, there are bootstrapping. There are neobanks that are bootstrapping from like a $50 million capital. Imagine. I've not seen that in India, right? And the first thing these startups are doing without even a product is acquiring non-banking financial institutions, some banks, some mutual fund companies, all these licenses at the first place. So look at the confidence they have in what they're doing. Where would you go if not them, right? So these startup entrepreneurs, they're basically they have a background in fintech, and I think this is the right blend of a business person, because they are already in finance. They need a little twitch of technology, which they obviously find as a co-founder before they begin. And I think if you are a large ticket investor and you're looking for the safety of funds, this is a good blend where you can come in. Now, finally, bringing in blockchain, crypto, DeFi to this, I think this is a phenomenal phenomena rather that's about to take place. A couple of my companies are trying to do that. So they're not bringing DeFi to the crypto world, they're bringing DeFi to the banking world. and it will work in the background for a user. It will just be a click. While it runs through a smart contract, it creates a flash loan, and boom, you have a loan without even going through the regulatory framework and complications and compulsions of the regulator regulating a neobank or a bank or the banking institution. So that is where I think the big boom is about to happen with these modern banking institutions, bringing in DeFi instruments together. And there's more to come, by the way. These centralized exchanges can definitely list decentralized products that are options, that are prediction market subjects, that are creating, like I said, AMM, so on and so forth. Because BitMEX has often been accused. I don't think that the accusation is wrong, but for manipulating the markets, for manipulating everything. I see Usman laughing. He's had it share. I've had it too. So I think these exchanges have a resort now. If they come out and list these assets that are absolutely decentralized, blockchain based, basically DeFi dApps instruments rather, I think that's the resort. They can basically clean up their image through this.
Yeah, and we're going to see, I think, probably a good wave of that, plus so much more as they start to expand into many different areas as well. And Usman, we're coming up to the lightning round, so I want to get your quick thoughts on where you're seeing the areas of opportunity that people should be paying attention to from your standpoint as well.
Yeah, I think I agree with what everyone said so far. Challenger banking is a huge thing. The old legacy financial institutions have to go. I can't even count the times of banks that have shut us down just dealing in crypto. And now there's a lot of more better and crypto-friendly banks coming out. Mercury, for example, out of SF. And then you have Galaxy Digital. They invested a lot in their platform. And then there's also, I mean, in Switzerland, I believe there's Signum Bank, there's Bank Frick. They're implementing more crypto-friendly procedures, but the regular time it takes for us to work with these banks to launch crypto-related blockchain products is like months. It could take 6 months, and then you might get anywhere because of all the fintech side. And speaking with a lot of different exchanges, look at Binance. They're looking to acquire more spot exchanges, a lot of decentralized exchanges to get more market share. So these big crypto exchanges, Binance, FTX, BitMEX, etc., Coinbase, they're trying to get as much exposure and market share around the world as they can now that we're coming into the third bull market and more people are more aware of cryptocurrency. So Coinbase, they made an acquisition to Tagomi, which is a prime broker. That's on the fintech side. There's also the retail side of things where FTX just acquired Blockfolio. Binance obviously did the same thing with CoinMarketCap. These are all strategic moves that people are making, these exchanges are making to grab more market share. So if you have a product that has market share that brings more people into crypto, these exchanges are actively investing. They have huge venture arms. I mean, these exchanges do billions of dollars of volume, so they have a lot of money to invest in. And you're also seeing a lot of plays in the algorithmic space. So originally, equities in the Wall Street world is run by Two Sigma, Rentech, all those big firms that have been around for decades. But crypto is now starting to get more liquidity, more volume. So the institutional space and the side of that is coming in, and you're going to see a lot more algorithmic players. And that's basically what we've been focusing on, is the automated algorithmic side. I think BitMEX, if you look on their venture site, that's one of the key focuses, algorithmic and automated trading, as well as a few other exchanges are looking into those types of products.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Usman. Thank you, everybody, for all your thoughts and insights. As we've come to the top of the hour, I want to come to each of you for closing thoughts, and then also where everyone can find you online, because there is so much more to talk about. There is so much more to continue on when it comes to that conversation as things continue to shift and shape in this industry. So, Usman, let's start with you. Any other closing thoughts you want to add, and then where can everyone find you online to continue the conversation?
Closing thoughts, I would say, as this space starts to grow, I think Irina initially pointed out, do your own research. Security is a huge, huge philosophy in crypto and in general. I mean, I've been attacked for SIM swaps 3 times in the last, 4 months, and I'm a pretty low key guy. I like to be pretty stealthy just for that reason. And I think a lot of people are getting SIM swapped. A lot of people are getting into these Ponzi schemes, pump and dumps. And then there's also all these new technologies like Uniswap, DeFi. They're not fully tested yet. They're kind of experiments in their own way. And code always has bugs. Nothing is 100% perfect when you write code. So I think the biggest thing, at Quantum Labs at our company, we look at number one, how tight is our security, our OPSEC? Is it great? Do people have access to our keys, et cetera, our clients' keys, accounts, et cetera? Number two, never get liquidated. So security, I think, is the paramount of the cryptocurrency industry, because that's the biggest drawback. If you lose your life savings or whatever, you're never going to come back to crypto again, probably. And I think that's a very important thing that people are missing. Part of the user adoption to cryptocurrency will be the security aspect.
And you touched a little bit on us. Okay, where can everyone find you?
Yeah, exactly. My Twitter handle is US Goose. Goose. It's just a nickname from high school or college.
I love it. It's a great nickname. Yeah, it's absolutely great. You need to get your sign like Mark to throw up there with everybody. Yeah. But no, I think you're bringing up a great point too in terms of adoption. We didn't have a chance to touch on that today, but that's an absolutely great point. G, I want to come to you. Quick closing thoughts, and where can everyone find you?
I think investing always will be tricky. Every business is tricky. If you're trying to make money, you got to go through the pain of losing, gaining, both experiences and money. What Usman said is very, very important. Never lose everything. Always keep a scope for yourself to still remain in crypto or in an existing business. Never get liquidated. Never get stopped out as a startup entrepreneur. Keep the hustle on. That's what I tell everyone, both investors, startups, everyone. You can find me. I've just renamed my handle here on this call. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's Gaurav, Gaurav, Dubey, Dubey, my name, and then live. From next time onwards, I'm going to do what Mark is doing right now, but I hope people are able to see the handle somewhere. So that's my Twitter handle. You can reach me out there. And if you are a fabulous product, if you think you can shake the world in DeFi, you're more than invited to TradeDog.io, and you can fill up the application for the accelerator. We're there to help you with everything and everything.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, G. Mark, to you, quick closing thoughts. Where can everyone find you, aside from the beautiful sign that you have?
That's the best way. Twitter, direct messages are open. I'm tweeting a bunch, so that's the best way to stay in touch. Everything else is quite private. Coming back to Usman's comment, security is really, really important. Online security, physical security, top of mind. Let's just put it at that point in time. Unfortunately, we're experiencing too many things. Usman also mentioned Blockfolio. I think there's usage is going up dramatically. As you probably know, I'm on the board of CoinStats. That's the number 2 after Blockfolio on a user base, both on the app side, and number 2 after CoinMarketCap on the web applications as well. Yes, we definitely see an interest there. Usman, you also mentioned prime brokerage. I can make it public now. We just invested in Covario out of Switzerland. That's a former Goldman Sachs people founded the prime brokerage there. We're very, very bullish and excited about that particular space. And then back to Gaurav's comments earlier on how hard it is to find good startups in the enterprise space. I think it's not only VCs, but it's really, really hard work. And it's hard work in the DeFi space, it's hard work in the angel space, everywhere to find the right projects. If somebody on Telegram tells them it's the coolest and greatest things, it's probably already too late, or it's not real. So it's really finding good entrepreneurs. It's extremely hard work. But that's why we're here today, and we're always looking forward to hear from you, reaching out to us and see how we can work together.
Wonderful. And Irina, close us out. Closing thoughts, and where can everyone find you?
All right. Thank you so much, guys. Okay, so I actually took notes. First of all, crypto, remember, all the growth happens because post-halvening, okay? So understand it, Bitcoin, okay? Everything else, diversify your portfolio. If you're a virgin, buy Bitcoin. Then you can see about diversifying portfolio. I think that's just the foundation. It's the safest. It's the one that's never been hacked. That's the reason why I'm saying that, is because that's the one that's truly decentralized, and it's the cryptocurrency that leads everything else. So let's leave it there. Banking was, is, and will be a problem for a while. We need more banking. We need banking that is based on real licensing, banking licensing, and not wiring around the licensing. And for those that understand what this means, if you have an opportunity to invest in banking for crypto that is properly licensed, go for it. Also, that brings me to entrepreneurs. Treasury management is the biggest problem. You must understand how it works. That means you need an expert from the industry. So again, make sure that you have proper advisors, and I want to see you have investment from reputable crypto VC, right? So we leave it there. Again, DeFi, treasury management, biggest problem. It's unbelievable. Okay, so now reputable, verified advisors and reputable, verified funds. Just keep that in mind. Now, Lumeria, if you're an investor, I want to know about your portfolio companies. If your portfolio company is at a point where they need to scale, I need to talk to you. B+, if you're a VC, I need to talk to you. If in your portfolio you have a blockchain company that is 2.0, we must talk. And that applies to all the crypto. And now if you entrepreneurs, I need to talk to you as well if you in the described categories. Google Irina Litchfield, you can find me anywhere.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen, you've got it. You've got some investors here who want to talk, who not only know their stuff, but also want to have conversations with you and are looking for companies just like you. And investors, there are tons of investors here and more as we have this continual episode every few weeks that want to co-invest. So stay tuned, make sure you reach out and connect with all these investors. And all, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and insights today. And also to your audience for tuning in. If you like what you heard, click subscribe, give us a thumbs up. We'd love to hear from you. So do feel free to reach out as well. Thank you, Irina, if you'd like to be on a show like today as well. And a big thank you to not just only our panelists, but also to Elena and to the entire LATOKEN team. Thank you, G, for making VCTV possible every single day on your screen, your device, anywhere in the world. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott, and you can find me everywhere at Kyle Ellicott, on all social media, and be happy to chat and continue the conversation around these topics as just like our panelists. I love it. It's great. It's tons of fun. And with that, as I promised you, today's a double episode. We've got a lot more to talk about. We're going from fintech and blockchain and a little bit of digital currency into the metaverse, where some of these technologies have been applied for some areas and some are changing for potentially the better. So we're going to take a short break. Lena and I and the entire VCT team will be back to jump into the metaverse, go AR, VR. We'll see where we go. And we'll be back here to talk to you soon. I'm Kyle Ellicott, your host. We'll see you soon.